For this little game, I want to have my levels just randomly generate themselves. So when we look at the level start up, I want to somehow keep a record of all these vacant positions, all these empty positions where I could possibly put one of the destructible rock blocks, or just leave it an open gap, or eventually where we're going to instantiate an enemy at the start position as well. So I need to somehow find a way of storing a reference to all these empty spaces. Now, the best way of doing that, we're already creating a loop that loops through every position in our two-dimensional array. So we can store these empty positions in a list, because unlike an array, which is usually of a fixed size, and you really shouldn't be mucking around with changing the size of a built-in array in real time, we're going to create a list. Now, I've got my list notes here, but I think I've mentioned this to people before. There's a great link here. Which kind of array or collection should I use? Go super slow internet. And we're looking at generic list. Okay, so here's all the information on what I'm going to be doing next. So as it says here, if we want to use a generic list, we have to add this consideration. Let's just copy that out. Like it says in my notes, to use list, we have to import system collections generic. So let's pop that in the top right under the pragma strict. Now before I get into the rock data, we need to create a list of variables, don't we? So have our level data. Now I'm going to create our empty space data. Okay, and this is going to be in the form of a list. So variable empty space list. It's going to be of type, it's the same thing, it is a list of, and I'm going to be storing the vector2 values. Okay, so when we're setting up our level, we need to initialize that list too. So we create a level. I'm typing a lot of notes this time, so hopefully people can see what I'm thinking. Okay, so it's going to be empty space list, did I call it? Empty space list is going to equal a new list. New list of vector2s. Okay, so here we're going through a loop for x and y, so for every position in our two-dimensional array. We've given specifics for where we want steel blocks. So if anything's not a steel block, it would be safe to say that we're going to create an empty space. Where's the empty space list? Okay, so else, let's just go empty space list dot add, and we're creating a vector2. And that's just basically going to be position x, y. So we're storing, we're going through our loops. We said, okay, if it's this, we want a steel block. If it's this, we want a steel block. Else, pretty sure it's going to be an empty space. Let's add it to our empty space list. Okay, and no, I haven't put new vector2 in there. Now, you don't need the keyword new. It's just me because I muck around in between JavaScript and C#. So the new keyword isn't essential. It's automatically implied in JavaScript, but I like to put it there so it just helps my brain work between C# and JavaScript. Okay, so let's just see if that list starts to populate with values. So we have our level manager, and then we have a new variable, empty space list. So if I hit play, there we go. Apparently we have 147 empty spaces. The first one is at position 1, 1. That looks about right to me. There's 0, 0, 0, 1. Sorry, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1. There's 1, 1. That's an empty space, so that's looking good. Okay. So we now have a list of empty spaces. Now why have I done that? Because I want to instantiate these rocks in all these blank spaces. Not every single blank space, but pretty much nearly all of them, to randomly generate our level. So let's set up some variables for our prefab. Okay, so if I said unwalkable was 2, let's just say destructible is going to be a rock, and I'm going to give it a value of 1. So just copy this out. Our rock block, type transform, ready for instantiation. Let's go and create that prefab also. Object. Zero out its position and give it my rock texture. Okay, and drag it into my prefabs folder. I now have a prefab of my rock block. Let's load up the level we're working on the level manager. Drag in rock block prefab and save the scene.